In 1712, the Mughal Empire stood on the brink of chaos as Jahandar Shah seized the throne, not through strength or strategy, but by inheriting the power after a brutal succession struggle. Jahandar Shah was born in 1661. He was the son of Emperor Aurangzeb, who ruled the Mughal Empire. This was a time when the empire was getting bigger and stronger. Jahandar grew up in the royal court, which was a busy and powerful place. He learned a lot about how to be a leader and the ways of Mughal culture. His father, Aurangzeb, was very strict. This made Jahandar learn the importance of duty and being in charge. He lived a life full of luxury in beautiful palaces, but being a prince also meant he'd a lot of pressure. Everyone expected him to be great one day. Jahandar's education was important. He studied Persian literature, history, and military strategy. These subjects were needed for a future ruler. He learned how to be diplomatic and how to manage a big empire. Jahandar also made friends with many noble families. He saw their dreams and their fights for power. These connections would help him when he became emperor. As he grew up, he became more relaxed than his father. This would show in how he led the empire. Jahandar Shah grew up in a royal court. His family was very important in the Mughal Empire. His father was Emperor Bahadur Shah III, and his mother was Empress Kesar Mahal. This royal family shaped who Jahandar was and what was expected of him. Jahandar had many brothers and sisters. Their relationships were a mix of friendship and competition. They often fought for their father's attention and power in the court. Jahandar's brothers, especially Azam Shah and Azam Shah, were his biggest rivals. After their father passed away, the competition for the throne became even stronger. Even with the rivalries, Jahandar was close to some of his siblings. These close bonds gave him support in the tough world of the Mughal court. He'd often ask his family for advice and enjoy their company. This helped him understand the tricky politics around him. The relationships in the Jahandar family were very important to his leadership. His experiences with his siblings taught him about challenges he'd face as an emperor. These lessons influenced his decisions and friendships during his reign. As Jahandar Shah became more important in the Mughal Empire, his experience in the military helped him handle many tough problems. He took over a kingdom that had many challenges like rival groups and the need to keep the large empire together. Jahandar used a mix of old Mughal ways and new ideas for fighting. This helped him be ready for changes in how battles were fought. During his time as ruler, Jahandar thought a strong army was very important. He worked hard to make sure his soldiers were happy and disciplined. He knew that a soldier who felt good would fight better. His battles showed that he understood how to supply his troops well. This was important for long fights. Jahandar also depended on smart leaders in his army. He built strong relationships with them so they could work together well. This teamwork helped them make quick decisions during fights. This ability to adapt was very important, especially when facing enemies who used tricky fighting methods. Even with his efforts, Jahandar faced big problems like disagreements within his empire and threats from outside. Still, his military experience helped him handle these issues. By combining smart strategies with practical fighting plans, Jahandar Shah tried to make his rule strong and keep the greatness of the Mughal Empire alive, even when times were tough. During the reign of Bahadur Shah III, Jahandar Shah was an important figure in the Mughal Empire. As the son of the emperor, he was very involved in the politics of the court. Jahandar helped make decisions that affected the whole empire. His position allowed him to connect with powerful nobles and military leaders, which made him more important. Jahandar wanted to become emperor one day. He knew he needed the support of strong people to help him claim the throne. He was smart about forming friendships with both his supporters and his rivals. This helped him build a good reputation in the Mughal court. Jahandar didn't just watch from the sidelines. He took part in discussions about how to rule the empire and plan military campaigns. His father valued his ideas and experiences, especially because of his military background. This involvement showed that Jahandar was capable and ready for leadership when the time came. Even with many changes happening in the empire, Jahandar was still a key figure during Bahadur Shah Pur's reign. His actions in court and his dreams of becoming emperor were important for his future. The death of Bahadur Shah I in 1712 changed everything for the Mughal Empire. It opened the door for Jahandar Shah to chase his dreams of becoming emperor. Bahadur's time as ruler was mostly peaceful, but he faced many problems. He tried to keep the empire strong, but there was trouble inside and outside the kingdom. When he died, it became clear that the empire was weak. This weakness led to fights for power among his family members. Bahadur's legacy was mixed. He wanted to make the government better and bring different cultures together, but he struggled to stop the fighting among the nobles at his court. After his death, the balance of power fell apart. Ambitious princes like Jahandar Shah started to fight for the throne. The empty space left by Bahadur's passing caused fierce competition and rivalry among them. Jahandar Shah saw his chance to claim the throne. As different groups formed and alliances changed, the struggle for power grew stronger. This was the start of a difficult time in Mughal history. The death of Bahadur Shah Thibaut showed the empire's weaknesses and sparked a fierce fight for control. This led to important events that would change the Mughal dynasty forever. When Bahadur Shah I died, it left a big hole in power. Jahandar Shah and his rivals quickly jumped into a fierce fight for the throne. The Mughal Empire had many struggles for power, but this time was especially wild. Jahandar Shah wanted to be king, but he'd strong competitors. Some were his own brothers, and others were nobles who doubted if he should be king. As different groups formed, alliances changed fast. Jahandar Shah tried to win over important courtiers and military leaders to support him. His rivals were just as eager. They used their connections and resources to gather followers and try to take power. The political scene became like a battlefield, where loyalty and betrayal went hand in hand. In this chaotic time, rumors and stories became very important. Each person tried to make the others look bad, claiming they were the true heir to the throne. Jahandar Shah's claim was often questioned, leading to heated talks among the nobles. The stakes were high, and nobody knew what would happen next. After many months of fighting for power, Jahandar Shah finally won in 1712. His victory was a big moment in Mughal history. People celebrated grandly. The streets of Delhi were filled with happy crowds. They chanted his name and threw flower petals in the air. Everyone was excited to see this important event. Soon after, there was a big coronation ceremony. It was full of color and tradition. Jahandar Shah wore beautiful clothes and a sparkling crown. He sat on the throne, showing that the Mughal Empire was strong again. Many nobles and important guests came to the ceremony. They brought gifts and showed their loyalty, which was very important in the empire. Religious leaders blessed him and said he'd the right to rule. As he sat on the throne, Jahandar Shah promised to bring justice and peace to his land. The coronation wasn't just for him. It gave hope for a united empire after all the chaos before him. In the days that followed, the celebrations continued. Jahandar Shah wanted to show he was a good leader. There were feasts and fun activities in the capital. The new emperor worked hard to win the hearts of his people and build a strong future for the empire. Jahandar Shah became emperor with great hope and joy. But soon his love for luxury brought a lot of criticism. He threw huge parties, wore fancy clothes, and celebrated in grand ways. Many people noticed that he wasn't paying attention to how to run the empire. His court turned into a show of wealth, making people forget about the serious problems facing the land. This made both nobles and common folks unhappy. They felt that Jahandar Shah was wasting resources while the empire grew weaker. Also, Jahandar Shah chose some friends for important jobs, but many of them weren't experienced. They cared more about pleasing him than helping the empire. This led to bad decisions and unfair favoritism. His close friends had too much power and pushed away wise officials and military leaders. Because of this, they struggled to handle important issues like wars and money problems, which put the empire in danger. While some people admired Jahandar Shah's taste for the finer things in life, it hurt his reputation as a ruler. Critics said he cared more about his own pleasures than the people he ruled. As more people grew unhappy, his love for luxury showed that he wasn't in touch with the lives of his subjects and the tough challenges facing the Mughal Empire. As Jahandar Shah enjoyed his riches, Lal Kunwar became an important person in his court. She was more than just a companion. She'd a strong say in the politics of the time. Lal Kunwar's influence helped her friends and made it hard for her enemies among the nobles. She was very involved in the fights over who'd take the throne during Jahandar Shah's rule. Using her friendships, she helped her supporters get powerful positions. This made the court a place of strong feelings where loyalty was often tested. Lal Kunwar also loved the arts. She supported artists and musicians, which made the Mughal court lively and full of culture. This helped her be remembered as an influential person. In addition, she gave advice to Jahandar Shah about money and trade. She wanted to make the empire rich and strong, but she also made sure her own interests were safe. In the end, Lal Kunwar's many influences during Jahandar Shah's reign left a big mark. Her skill in handling court politics and her love for culture and trade made her a powerful figure in Mughal history. She helped shape the story of power during a difficult time. Jahandar Shah was a Mughal emperor who wanted to strengthen his power. His relationships with the Rajputs and Marathas were very complicated. The Rajputs were brave warriors with a lot of influence in their regions. Jahandar Shah knew he needed their help to keep his empire strong, so he tried to make alliances with them. He offered gifts and promises to important Rajput leaders, hoping they'd support him against enemies. But the Rajputs weren't easily convinced. They remembered past fights with the Mughals and were unsure if they could trust Jahandar Shah. This made their relationship tense. Some Rajput groups wanted to keep their independence and resisted Mughal control. At the same time, Jahandar Shah had to deal with the Marathas. They were becoming stronger and expanding their land in western India. Leaders like Shivaji's successors led the Marathas in clever battles. Their hit-and-run tactics were a big problem for the Mughal Empire. Jahandar Shah found it hard to stop them, as the Marathas used their knowledge of the land to their advantage. To handle these challenges, Jahandar Shah used a mix of military action and talks with the Rajputs and Marathas. However, the strong resistance from both groups made it hard for him to unite the subcontinent under Mughal rule. His reign showed the tricky balance of power during this time in history. Jahandar Shah was a Mughal emperor who wanted to be strong in foreign relations. He tried to make friends with other powerful countries, but he faced many problems. The Mughal Empire was in a tough spot. There were enemies like the Persian Empire and the rising powers in the Deccan that threatened his rule. Jahandar Shah thought that forming friendships with the Ottomans and the Safavids would help him keep control. But these countries had their own goals. Also, there was a lot of fighting and arguing within his own court. This made it hard for him to work well with others. During his reign, the Mughal Empire started to lose power. Neighbors like the Marathas and Rajputs, who were once allies, began to challenge him. This made the empire even weaker. Jahandar Shah stuck to old alliances and didn't change his plans for the new challenges he faced. Because of this, many people in his empire grew unhappy. As problems grew, Jahandar Shah found it hard to keep things stable. The decline of his foreign relations showed that he was having trouble ruling. It also marked the beginning of the end for the great Mughal Empire. His failure to build strong alliances played a big part in the empire's downfall. In 1713, Farrukhsiyar became an important leader in the Mughal court. He took the throne during a time when Jahandar Shah's rule was falling apart. Farrukhsiyar's rise wasn't just luck. He planned carefully and made smart moves. He wanted to bring back the glory of the Mughal Empire, which had faded under Jahandar Shah's weak leadership. Farrukhsiyar knew that making friends with powerful people was key to keeping his power. He teamed up with important groups in the court. Their support helped him claim the throne. These friendships were crucial for him as he faced a tricky political situation in the Mughal Empire. He built strong ties with nobles who were unhappy with Jahandar Shah. He promised them important positions in his new government. When Farrukhsiyar became emperor, he made an important alliance with the Sayyid Brothers. These brothers, Sayyid Abdullah and Sayyid Hussein, were very powerful. They helped shape Farrukhsiyar's rule and made many important decisions for him. They were like the real leaders behind the throne. The Sayyid brothers did more than just give advice. They controlled important jobs in the empire and decided on many rules. They put their trusted friends in key positions to make sure they stayed in power. This way, they could guide Farrukhsiyar's choices while making it seem like he was in charge. They skillfully navigated the tricky world of Mughal politics, where many people wanted power. However, their rise to power wasn't easy. As they became stronger, other groups in the court began to dislike them. Their actions sometimes pushed away potential friends, creating a delicate balance of power. Yet the Sayyid brothers still kept their hold on Farrukhsiyar's reign, showing their cleverness and ambition. In summary, the Sayyid brothers had a big influence on Farrukhsiyar's rule. Their story shows how complex Mughal politics were, where friendships could change quickly. Tensions grew in the Mughal Empire as different groups fought for control. This led to the important Battle of Agra in 1713. Jahandar Shah, the emperor, faced pressure from rival groups, especially the Sayyid Brothers. The Sayyid brothers had a lot of power and soldiers. Jahandar Shah knew he needed to prepare for the battle. He started by gathering his loyal troops and making strong alliances. The Sayyid brothers also worked hard on their plans. They wanted to take advantage of Jahandar's weaknesses. They gathered more soldiers to have more strength. Both sides built up their defenses in and around Agra, getting ready for a tough fight. As the battle day got closer, small fights broke out. These skirmishes tested how strong each side was. Spies brought back important news, making both sides hurry to prepare. Jahandar Shah wanted to show he was a strong leader. He gave inspiring speeches to his soldiers, filling them with courage. On the day of the battle, the two armies met for a big fight. The clash was filled with excitement and noise as both sides battled hard for victory. When the dust cleared, the outcome of the Agra conflict changed the power in the Mughal Empire. It was a fight that would have lasting effects for many years. This battle showed how shaky the times were and highlighted Jahandar Shah's struggle to keep his authority during a time of unrest. Jahandar Shah was a Mughal emperor who tried hard to keep his power. But things changed when the Sayyid brothers found his weak spots. They made smart plans to capture him taking advantage of his lack of support. The brothers wanted to be in control, so they gathered groups of people who were unhappy with Jahandar's rule. Their clever moves led to a quick fall for the emperor. The Sayyid brothers surrounded Delhi, which cut off Jahandar's supplies and help. They made sure he'd nowhere to go. Finally, they took over the capital and captured Jahandar in a big fight. Without any power, Jahandar was seen as a puppet by those who once supported him. After being captured, Jahandar Shah faced tough times in prison. The Sayyid brothers kept him locked up in a palace. He'd very little freedom and hardly saw anyone from the outside. His grand court became empty as his friends and advisors left or joined the new rulers. The emperor's once bright rule ended in shame, showing how dangerous Mughal politics could be. While Jahandar was stuck in prison, the Sayyid brothers became the true leaders of the empire. The story of Jahandar Shah reminds us of the fierce and tricky world of Mughal politics. After Farrukhsiyar became the ruler of the Mughal Empire, he wanted to make sure no one could challenge him. This led him to decide to execute Jahandar Shah. Jahandar had been a king before and many people still liked him. This made him a possible threat to Farrukhsiyar's power. Farrukhsiyar's advisors were worried. They told him that if he spared Jahandar, it could lead to trouble. People might start rebellions or support Jahandar again. To show that he was in charge, Farrukhsiyar chose to have a public execution. He wanted everyone to see what would happen to those who tried to go against him. In the weeks before the execution, rumors spread across the empire. People were nervous and talked about what might happen. There were many ideas about how Jahandar would be executed. Some thought it would be a simple beheading, while others imagined more brutal ways. Farrukhsiyar wanted to make sure everyone understood the seriousness of his rule. As the day of the execution got closer, the court became more tense. Different groups of people wanted to have their say about Jahandar's fate, but Farrukhsiyar was firm. He believed that executing Jahandar wouldn't only get rid of a rival, but also show everyone that he was the true emperor. On the day Jahandar Shah was executed in 1713, the air was filled with a mix of fear and excitement. His time as emperor had been full of fights for power among the Mughal nobles. Jahandar had dreams of making the Mughal Empire great again, but his fate was sealed by his cousin, Farrukhsiyar. At first, many people liked Jahandar, but as time went on, political tricks and changing loyalties took away his support. As Jahandar faced the executioner, he thought about his legacy. His time as ruler was shadowed by trouble and conflict. The Mughal Empire, once strong and admired, now felt weak and threatened by those around it. His death wasn't just the end of his dreams, but also a major moment in Mughal history. People who witnessed the event felt a mix of horror and acceptance. They knew that Jahandar's death would change things across the empire. His execution showed how harsh Mughal politics could be. The court, which had once celebrated his rise to power, now stood quietly, realizing how fragile their emperor's great dynasty had become. After Jahandar's death, the Mughal Empire faced a time of confusion and worry. Leadership became scattered, and the emperor's power grew weaker. When Jahandar Shah was executed, the Mughal Empire started to fall apart. His end was an important moment that made things worse. After him, many leaders fought for power. This created a big problem with who'd rule. Because of this, the empire became divided and there was a lot of fighting among different groups. During this chaos, money troubles began. The kings and queens spent too much on fancy things. While they enjoyed their riches, the common people struggled to survive. This made many people unhappy. The gap between the rich rulers and the poor people grew bigger, which hurt the empire even more. The Mughal army, once very strong, started to lose battles. They couldn't defend against new powerful groups nearby or the European countries that wanted to take over. This showed just how weak the empire had become. Also, the leaders in charge of running the empire became corrupt. Many officials cared more about their own wealth than helping the people. This made it even harder to manage the large empire well. All these problems together led to the decline of the Mughal Empire. It changed from a great empire into something that wasn't as powerful or rich anymore. Jahandar Shah's rule reminds us how important good leadership is. Without it, even the mightiest empires can fall apart. Jahandar Shah was a ruler of the Mughal Empire. Many people think his time as emperor was a time of decline. However, new historians are looking at his leadership in a different way. They believe he faced many problems when he became emperor. The empire was already having a tough time. Historians now see that Jahandar Shah tried to make things better. He worked hard on diplomacy and made changes in how the government was run. He wanted to stabilize the empire and understood that it was a big and diverse place. He tried to get along with local leaders and keep peace among them. This is something earlier historians often missed. Jahandar Shah also loved the arts. He supported music, painting, and culture. This shows that he cared about the Mughal Empire's rich history. He wasn't just focused on surviving, he wanted to make the empire shine, even during hard times. As historians look at old documents and stories from that time, they find more about Jahandar Shah's leadership. They see him as a ruler who faced challenges with smart choices. This new view helps us understand that historical figures can be complex. Jahandar Shah's story is being rewritten, showing him as a strong leader who tried to bring creativity and strength to the empire. Jahandar Shah wanted to make the Mughal Empire strong again. He had two important people around him, Lal Kunwar and Zulfikar Khan. Lal Kunwar was clever and ambitious. He liked to play games in the court. He often made trouble and created drama among the nobles. Lal Kunwar knew how to get close to the emperor. He gave advice that helped him gain more power. He used tricks to make himself important while making his rivals look weak. On the other hand, Zulfikar Khan was a brave military leader. He was known for his loyalty and strength. Zulfikar Khan wanted to bring order to Jahandar Shah's rule. Unlike Lal Kunwar, he didn't like to create chaos. Instead, he made strong alliances and won battles. He worked hard to protect the empire and its people. These two men showed the different sides of Jahandar Shah's court. Lal Kunwar made things messy with his tricks, but Zulfikar Khan tried to bring people together and make the empire stronger. Their actions shaped how Jahandar Shah ruled, showing how complicated it was to lead during this exciting time in Mughal history. Jahandar Shah was an emperor during a very tricky time in Mughal history. His rule was full of problems. He wasn't a strong leader, and many powerful courtiers had a lot of influence over him. This led to fighting among different groups at the court. The problems he faced set a pattern for the emperors who came after him. They also had to deal with issues like succession and disagreements among their supporters. After Jahandar Shah, the Mughal Empire started to decline. The lessons learned from his time were important for the next emperors. For instance, Farrukhsiyar tried to become more powerful by learning from the mistakes of Jahandar Shah. The rivalries that grew during Jahandar's reign continued to cause trouble for later rulers. This made it hard for them to keep control over the empire. Jahandar Shah also had trouble managing important leaders in different regions. This made it hard for him to keep their loyalty. Because of this, later emperors had to find new ways to show their strength and bring back respect for the empire. Jahandar Shah's tumultuous reign serves as a poignant reminder of the Mughal Empire's complexities and decline. His lavish lifestyle and military struggles, coupled with internal rivalries, ultimately led to his downfall. The influence of key figures like Lal Kunwar and Zulfikar Khan further complicated his rule, shaping the empire's fate. As historians reassess his legacy, Jahandar Shah remains a symbol of the challenges faced by a once mighty empire maneuvering through turbulent times.